Hi guys, welcome to Sing for Hull, week 7, day 2, and this week we're going to be looking at some basic mixing techniques in a program called Logic, and then how you can create some music on an iPad or tablet using a program like GarageBand.
Right then guys, welcome to Logic. This is Logic Pro X. It's a professional digital audio workstation and it's used for creating music, soundtracks, Foley, anything to do with audio really you can create and manipulate in this program. Now this is going to look really familiar to you if you've used GarageBand before, because it's kind of just an advanced version of GarageBand. So let's have a look at the basics of mixing. Now when we record audio, we record it as individual tracks, so individual audio segments of an instrument. Here's the drum kit. Nice bass guitar in here as well. We have some piano in there as well. Some nice brass lines. And an electric guitar. Now the first thing we want to do when we're approaching a mix is to get a nice balance between all the instruments. That's before you put any effects on or do anything crazy. We want to get a nice balance. Now what do I mean by balance? So let's open our mixer view in Logic. So this mixer shows the overall track and where all the instruments are sitting within the stereo image. So we have our left channel and our right channel. So if you've got headphones on, we mean the left side and the right side, and then there's the overall volumes as well. So we're going to manipulate the overall volume of each individual track, because if you can hear when I play it, the electric guitar is far too loud. So we need to find a balance. You might notice as well that we have different colours when the audio is playing. We have green, orange and red. And when the audio goes into the red, that's then called clipping, which means it's going to distort and sound horrible. So you want to be sticking within the green and the yellow, the orange area. We'll start with the drums and get all the audio levels sitting nicely. We do that by pushing up and pulling down these digital faders. Now if you've ever seen a mixing desk, these are basically computer versions of what you have in physical real life. Now I'm just going to have a little experiment with a bass, pushing it up and down and see how it sounds and see where I think it sounds right. Now I'm going to try and bring the piano up, and I want that to sit just on top of the bass and drums. And I think that sounds good to me. Let's have a look at the brass instruments. Sounds good to me. Now let's knock that lead guitar right down. And now if you can see the output still peaking, so I'm just going to bring it down a little bit more. Great stuff, that's a nice balance. There's no peaks, everything's nice and solid. So let's have a look at doing the pan. So pan, again, like I said earlier, is where the instruments sit in the left and right of the ears, or the stereo field. So let's have a little play around, and you'll be able to see the difference between where the instruments sit. I want the kit to be straightforward, as I do with the bass. Now I've fully hard panned the brass to the left, so that should only be coming through your left earphone. And I can go the other way and do it to the right. And so what we want to do is try and create a balance between the instruments within the stereo field. And now experiment and try, and if you think it sounds good, then it sounds good. There's no hard and fast rules. So now you can see on the screen I'm just playing with the balances and the pan and see where things sit until I'm happy with it. Now this is a nice sounding mix to me. So now, this is where I'd go and lay some effects on, like compression, EQ, reverb, equalizer, and start to really blend the tracks together to get a really polished professional sound. So that's the overview of how you get a basic mix. Now I'm going to show you a track that I've been working on that's got loads of effects on it, loads of mixing. So let's have a little listen to what this sounds like. All sorts of different panning and volumes going on with this one. And you can see each individual track has tons of effects on. So we're using some compression and equalization on there, and we have some master effects as well. And this is what gets you that polished studio sound. So it sounds nice and polished and fat. So now let's look at how you can create a track at home and do some basic mixing with it, as well as composition. See you soon. Now here I'm using an iPad Air and I'm going to be using GarageBand. Of course there's a ton of different platforms and programs you can use, so you use the one that you know best, or try something new. Now GarageBand is an intelligent piece of software. It's going to remember the last state you were in when you last used it. Now as you can see, I was in the menu, but if you were in the song, it's fairly easy to get back to the menu from that. What we're going to do is we're going to press the My Songs in the top left, and that'll give us the options to create a new track, or go back to some of our previous tracks. So let's head over to the top right hand corner and press the little plus, and we'll create a new song. Now this will bring up your options, and you can start with drums, keyboards, sound library, external, drummer, world instruments, guitars, basses, anything you like really. You can go in and start with what's programmed in, but we're going to start with the drums. Now we have a couple of options at the bottom. We have Smart Drummer, Acoustic Drummer, and Beat Sequencer. Now Smart Drummer will allow you to create beats based upon things like selecting soft, hard, complex, simple. The acoustic drums will actually let you physically play them on the iPad by hitting the screen. But we're going to use the Beat Sequencer, which looks like an old-fashioned drum machine, and it's really simple to use and easy to get into. So we'll load that up and we'll start making a beat. Now as you can see, this grid is a breakdown of a bar of music, and it breaks it down into its individual beats and its off beats. So 1E under, 2E under, 3E under, 4E. And as I hit play, you won't be able to hear anything because nothing's set to trigger. So we need to select some instruments to trigger. So I'm going to place a kick drum on each downbeat. Now that sounds nice and solid. Now just as you can, I'm going to have an experiment with the snare drum. I want to put it on beats 2 and 3. Let's see what that sounds like. Now that sounds great, the beat's starting to come together, so let's put some hats in there. Now I'm happy with the way that sounds. I'm going to start to have a play and put some extra instruments in there. And just remember, if you don't like anything, just press the instrument again and it'll take it out. So feel free to have a play and see what you can come up with. I'm happy with that, so let's get it into the session so we can add some bass. So let's record it. So to record it, what we're going to do is we're going to drag the cursor to the beginning of the track, and we're going to hit record, and the machine will automatically record some bars. So we're going to do 8 bars. As you can see, that red line that's dragging across, that's the information getting recorded. Again, it's a good little beat. Then when it gets to the end, it'll just loop around and play it back for you. Now if you press the little bricks in the top hand corner, that'll bring up our track window. And we can add instruments here. So there's our drum information, and it'll play. So now let's add a new instrument by pressing the plus in the bottom left hand corner, and we're going to select bass. So now we're on the bass. Now we can use smart bass, notes, or scales. So we're going to go with the smart bass option. Now you can see here, it gives us the chords and the strings of the instrument. Now all these chords are within the same key. We can play the individual parts of the chord by pressing the strings, we can strum, or we can play the full chord when we have autoplay turned on. Now I don't think this bass suits the drum beat that we're using. We're using quite a digital process sounding kit, so I want the bass to match that. So let's try and click retro bass and see what that sounds like. To do that, by the way, just click on the bass. That is much better. Now if you've got the music theory skills, if you press the spanner in the top right, you can have a play what the different chords are. There's lots of resources out there for music theory, and I'm sure your music service teacher will help you as well, so to really understand how chords work. But anyway, moving on, we're going to look at the autoplay function now. And we're going to turn it on and we're going to hit the chord, and it will automatically play a variation of a theme on that chord for us. So I'm happy with where that sounds, so I'm going to record it in now, and all I need to do is drag my cursor back to the beginning, hit record, and then just hit the chords I want at the right time. And now I'm going to go with a 2-chord vamp. I'm going to use A minor to D minor. So let's get that recorded and see how it sounds. Just remember, it's going to give you a counting before you start playing. So follow that counting to get the tempo, then off you go. I'm just pressing the screen. And it's sounding really good. So let's just have a review back and see what it sounds like, make sure we're happy with it. So that sounded great to me. So next we need to put in some mid-ranged instruments. So let's have a look at how we do that. Now mid-range instruments, I mean guitars, keyboards, that type of instrument. So let's add a new track and we're going to put a synthesizer on. So we're going to go to the bottom left hand corner again, we're going to press the plus and we're going to find a nice keyboard. Now again, with the keyboards, just like the bass, we have a few options. We have smart piano, synth, sampler, and we can click on more sounds, but we're going to use a smart piano, which will as well give us the chords that we've already been working with the bass guitar. Again, we can play the parts of the chord, we can play the full chord, we can strum through the chord, or we have an autoplay function. And again, with the bass, I'm not really happy with the sound of this, so I'm going to click where it says grand piano and I'm going to find a nice synth sound. Now I'm going to go with a nice synth pad, and I'm going to go for bass bar and we'll try see what that sounds like. Yeah, I'm happy with the sound of that. So now when I switch the autoplay function on, you'll see it splits the chord for me, and I can play the bass end, the treble end, or I can play the full chord by selecting different parts of it. It's entirely up to you, and have a little experiment with what the different sounds you can create, but we're just going to record a nice chord section following our bass line using that A minor to D minor chord progression. Here's our counting. Just pressing the chords like we did last time with the bass. Let's press our brakes and go back to our track view. So let's have a listen. Now the way this pad works, it's a little against the timing, so we might have to sort that out. Now if your keyboard playing like mine isn't the best, or your iPad or your tablet or your computer's a little bit slow, you can do what we call quantize, where GarageBand will snap the notes to the grid. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, and add a lead instrument. So we're going to hit the plus again in the bottom left hand corner. A synth option. And this will give us a keyboard to play with all the chromatic notes. Now again, if your keyboard playing isn't great, you can stick within the key. So how we do that is we click scale and then we can select one of the scales we want to use. Now this will take out any notes that aren't within the scale and only allow you to play the notes within the scale. So it makes it nice and easy for coming up with a melody. Again, to change the key, you press the spanner in the top right hand side and you can have a play with a key, etc, etc. But we know that it's automatically loaded within the right key for us. So let's just have a go. We're going to play a little melody, then afterwards we're going to set the quantization up and we're going to get it all in time. Let's hit record and have a little play. Now the timing's all over. It's really rough what I'm playing here, but I'm going to show you how you can snap it to be correct. So now we're going to click on the actual MIDI part. Now we're going to click settings. Now we can affect the value of what we want it to quantize to. And we can select an 8th, a 16th, a 4th, a 32, and as I select through the different ones, you should see the notes bounce around and change. So now I'm happy that's in time, although it's not a great melody, it is in time. I'm going to drag it to the end and have a 4-bar intro, then our little melody. And now if you feel you've got something that you can work with, you can maybe write some lyrics to it and go across to the microphone and have a play with that and record some words. You could have other instruments. You can do whatever you want after it. The creative process is up to you.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hope it was useful. And don't forget to join Stephanie tomorrow when she'll be giving you some more performance tips on singing this week's song Firework. And don't forget to join us on Friday at 1:30 on the Whole Music Service Hub YouTube channel for the premiere of this week's song. See you later, guys.